Hey everybody, and welcome to Indigo Sky Holistic. I'm Davina. I'm an energy healer and intuitive holistic therapist based here in West Yorkshire. I am currently in my therapy room in Soul Wellness Hub in Sowerby Bridge in West Yorkshire. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about one of my favourite tools that I use in my practice with my clients for myself, and I want to share a little bit about it as a holistic therapy for supporting emotional and mental well-being, and also energy and spirituality, since all of these things are combined. And the results of that often are that it also aids and supports physical health, physical body as well. And that tool that I want to talk about today is EFT tapping, or the emotional freedom technique, as it is called. It's often just referred to as tapping. If you have been in any holistic fields, if you have maybe even worked with a psychotherapist or a psychologist, they use this technique. Other holistic therapists and healers use this technique, and it's been around for a few decades. I've been using it for about 13 years or so. I just go back in my little head as to when how old my daughter is, who was a baby when I started using it. Felt like a toddler. And yeah, it's a very it's a I feel like it's a still as yet untapped funny, excuse the pun, untapped tool for helping well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, the energy body, all of that. I feel like it's just everybody should be using it. It's incredible. And I feel also like it's not being tapped into by those that use it either at the deepest level. So as an energy healer, I'm a Reiki teacher, Reiki master. I've been using Reiki for about 4 years myself, although a lot longer than that really, as well, because Reiki is just life force energy that we've all got running through us and that we all could be using if we just knew how to tap into that energy on a conscious level. And oftentimes the general population don't realize the full potential of this energy that's just running through us all the time. It's what animates us, it's what gives us the breath of life, it's what keeps us going and moving forward. And I feel, as an energy healer, using other tools and techniques like acupuncture, like reflexology, like massage therapy, using them in conjunction with the life force energy or the Reiki, that's just there waiting for us all to be so fully aware of, that we can use it in our lives and in everything to support our consciousness, to support our living, to support our thriving, to support everything that we do. It's just there waiting for us to be consciously aware of how we can use it in our lives. And EFT as a process, I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, and then why I feel just connecting in all the pieces and using it then along with the wisdom and knowledge of our energy centers and how they are there as part, like an unseen part of us that's storing energy, that's storing emotion, that's holding our bodies safe and holding our energy safe. allowing things like EFT to move that energy, allowing things like acupuncture to move that energy through can be so beneficial to our whole well-being, and it can make our minds and help our minds be clear. It can help our emotions to come to the surface and be felt and be like, oh yeah, I needed to know that this was the emotion that needed to be processed. And when we begin to become tuned into our body as we tap or as we feel into the moment of what we're feeling under a certain circumstance, or when we think about a certain problem we've got, a certain worry that we've got, a life experience that we've got, when we begin to just tap into our body or feel into our body as to like, where do I feel this sensation? Where's like so tense when I think about this situation? Where do I need to just breathe in that Reiki, that energy, that life force, that vitality, and give it some breath and some space and some time and a moment of rest to just be, so that I can allow it to move and flow. When we bring these things together, we can create so much more space for ourselves, and then growth for ourselves, and healing and releasing and moving forward past our current predicament or life circumstance that feels challenging, illness, sickness, disease, all of that. We can shift and we can move when we tune into our body, and when we begin to allow the energy to move, be supported. And everyone has this ability to tap into that energy. Everyone has this ability to feel that energy. We've just become unconscious to it. We've just not been supported consciously to feel our bodies, even to be able to be like, what's the message in the pain? What's the message in the tension? What's the message in the sore throat, the cough, the ache, the shaking or tremble? What's the message that the body is telling me that I need to feel and release? And EFT just really gives us a moment and a space to do that. So EFT, emotional freedom technique, what is it? A little bit of brief history. EFT has some roots and foundations in psychotherapy. The very first man who began to explore what became EFT was a psychotherapist who's got some history in Eastern philosophy and Eastern spirituality and modalities like Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. And he was aware of the meridian channels that a lot of Eastern medicine talks about. Chinese medicine talks about the meridians, these energy flow, this energy flow that's running through our bodies. That's what acupuncture uses to help redirect the energy flow. And when you see a Chinese medicine doctor, they will look at your whole body. They'll do things like ask you to stick your toe. I've been to see a Chinese medicine doctor many, many years ago. It was like he asked me to stick my tongue out and looked at my tongue and he was like, oh yes, you will, this is what we'll do, and this is this is what we'll, the treatment that he would use, the acupuncture treatment and some Chinese herbs as well. It was just an enlightening experience to see a Chinese medicine doctor and then to experience acupuncture. And this man who created the precursor to EFT had this knowledge and wisdom. And when he was treating a patient for hydrophobia, he, whilst exploring all of his tools as a psychotherapist of like aversion therapies and stuff like that he'd taken her through, for her hydrophobia. Nothing was working. And whilst observing her with some water, the fear that she was evidently feeling in her body, he was like just watching her body. It came to him to just ask her where she felt any like constriction, or where anywhere in her body that she was feeling a physical sensation connected to this fear of this water. And she explained where she was feeling it, and he, using his knowledge of the meridian channels and what acupuncture points are connected to what body parts, he just got us to start rubbing the body part connected to the meridian channel and the stomach. And I'm fairly sure it was around the stomach area, like her abdomen, that she was feeling. And she began to feel relief, and she began to feel more safe around the water. And eventually, before the end of their session, she was touching the water, which she was literally one of those people who was so scared of water, so had such an intense hydrophobia that just being touched by water or touching water was so intense for her, which, you know, is debilitating in life. If you can't touch water, that's pretty debilitating. And yeah, she had this relief from this hydrophobia, which she progressed over the course of a few more sessions. And he created this whole quite complex, quite in-depth process of tapping points on the body, rubbing points on the body connected to meridian channels. And he created this process, which he had like trademarks and all sorts of things connected to it. And eventually somebody who was qualified in that and learned that created this process called EFT, which is a much more open to other people, anyone using it. It's not trademarked, to the best of my knowledge, as a technique. It's open for people to use. And I've used it with healers, I've used it with business coaches, I've used it like for myself. I've been a receiver of EFT support from all sorts of people, and I've learned it through my Reiki teacher. I've learned it through courses that I've been on and trainings that I've been on, and have this experience of using it for myself as well, with my own individual life circumstances, everything from money worries to supporting my daughter on the train with travel sickness and things like that. It's like such an incredible tool. So then, yeah, when it was then brought into the public domain as a more free to use for people generally, it turned into this. It still feels complicated. If you've never used it before and you see someone doing it, it can seem a little weird and a little like out there, and you can feel a bit silly when you do it, which is actually pretty good for the body to feel a bit so like, oh god, I feel really self-conscious doing this weird stuff with like, oh, that's really weird. But it really helps the body to move and lighten up, and helps the energy to flow. And that's what we're after. We're after the energy in our body moving, because a lot of pain, a lot of disease, a lot of sickness, a lot of chronic conditions are worsened, if not caused by, put a little pin in that one, like the body holding on to stuff that it doesn't need to be holding on to. And so many of us, we're in situations where we are in positions day in and day out that are not healthy for the body. We're not active, we're not moving, unless we go to the gym every day or we go on a jog every day. We're not moving just because our life is not geared to physical movement. And that's one of the reasons why becoming aware of EFT and then practicing it and using it can be really beneficial to everybody to do, because it's a gentle way to move the energy through the body. And it's also can be a really gentle way to begin to feel your emotions, particularly if you've got trauma, if you've got deep embodied emotional pain, you don't even know is there. Like when I started to process my complex traumas, I didn't even know they were there. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was actually trying to grow a business. I was trying to improve my income in a handmade business that I had a few years ago. I was looking to like clear the blocks that were stopping me from attracting business. Turn out I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I was supposed to be going back into my healing soul purpose mission that I'm here for in this incarnation, in this lifetime. And that's why I was blocked and stuck, because I wasn't really following my life purpose, having this little handmade business that was just trying to like muddle through with. I was supposed to start opening up to the healer within, which of course I had to open up to my own healing to do. And through that, I realized that I had complex PTSD that was part of a whole lifetime, felt like a lifetime, 20 odd years of indoctrination and what really was religious trauma, and all of that came through just from emotional clearing practices and EFT and talking and sharing and getting more clear on what my experiences had brought up for me. And EFT allowed that to be done in a way that didn't feel like didn't feel, at least to some degree. There's definitely been times where there's been lots of like blubbery crying and sobbing and processing of emotions that way. But really, it didn't feel that intense. It gets to be really gentle if you're just doing like a short, quick EFT video, like you'll find on my YouTube channel. If you're just doing something for a specific thing. So I do EFT for anxiety, I do EFT for food and diet, I do EFT for money and wealth frequency. And all of those things, when you're just doing a little bit of EFT, maybe you daily, I use EFT daily to help support my livelihood and like creation of what I'm creating here at Indigo Sky Holistic. And because of some of that conditioning that I've had around burning out in my previous business, and the stories that were part of my upbringing around worthiness. I use EFT to just keep the emotions free, so I can tap into like, why am I resisting this step forward? Why am I resisting this new level of creation, or this new level of income, or this new level of being an energy healer, intuitive, a psychic, all the new things that come to me on a regular basis that I'm here to do. And like, using EFT every day really just helps me to feel that, like, oh, that's new. Today, when I did my EFT today, I was tapping for a specific income goal that I really would like to achieve in the next few days. And it was like, oh, like I was feeling it here in this energy center. We have an energy center between our throat and our heart, so it's right here, and I know that energy center is connected to happiness, and happiness is the emotion that helps to balance out what we store here emotionally. And I was like, clicked that I'm scared of being happy. And as I like tapped through the points and was like, my spleen started to tingle. And, you know, just to bring in another one of my favorite tools, human design, my spleen is my inner authority, my human design. As a splenic manifester, I'm like, there's tingles in my spleen. What's my spleen telling me? And the spleen is like a really like ancient energy center. It's got ancient knowledge and wisdom. It's a really deep intuitive energy center. That's the real seat of intuition. And it was like, my spleen's talking to me. What's my spleen going on about? Right, okay. survival. If I'm not happy, if I'm happy, if I feel too happy and I allow myself to be too happy, there's this survival thing going on of like worried about not surviving, because happiness and surviving, like I've got these stories that I'm deconditioning from and unraveling and repassing my subconscious mind around, that, you know, I can actually thrive and be happy in my life and just like live and explore and be excited and create magic in my life and have a good income and have a good life. And like for a long time, what my healing journey explored for me was that I'd not been happy for a very long time. I'd been a very happy teenager, early 20s. I'd felt happiness, but because of this complex PTSD that I didn't know I had, and never actually truly feeling safe, I'd never felt safe. That happiness had dwindled away to nothing. And knowing what happiness even is now is really like, it's still a challenge for me to know what happiness really is. So I tapped through all of this today and was like, yeah, that's better. This is how we set a goal and achieve the goal and feel into the goal, because you can actually begin to feel the emotions. And that's one of the things that I encourage when I'm teaching EFT and when I'm taking a client through EFT. It's one of the things that I really, really bring people to, ground people in through meditation. When I do a group session, when I do a private client one-to-one session, I really bring, that's really important that we ground into our body so we can feel our physical body and our sensations. And that can be really challenging, particularly if you've got PTSD, complex PTSD, deep trauma wounds, traumatic events in life. Even if you don't feel like you have PTSD, there may have been a trauma in life that made us go out of our body in particular moments, so that we because being out of our body, we feel safe. And by being out of our body, I mean like separating ourselves from what we're feeling in our body, because we don't like the discomfort that we feel in our body. And not when we're disconnected, and we're also like disconnected from the sensation that we feel in our body right from an early age, because when we feel discomfort in our body from being, most people from being babies, we weren't allowed to feel the discomfort because we were shushed down from crying, or we were told to go into situations that some part of us didn't want to go into, because on a intuitive level, as babies and toddlers, when we're really in tune still to that spiritual side of ourselves, pushed into situations not understood by that. Even as an intuitive mom, took me a long time to realize that when my daughters were crying, when they were expressing some sort of discomfort, shouting, screaming, resisting, not letting me put them down, it was because they were just like aware of their energy and knew that they wanted to be more connected to their energy before they allowed themselves to be put down, or they felt unsafe in a place and things like that. So yeah, even as an intuitive mom, it took me a long time to learn to trust. If my baby is unsettled, there's a reason for that. If my baby doesn't want to be in this place, there's a reason for that. If my baby is like crying in the car, it's actually because she's uncomfortable. There's something wrong. And turned out that that particular baby was chronically motion sick, and I bet that didn't come to light until she was a bit older. And that, like, realizing our babies and toddlers are telling us things with these things, but we've all been conditioned, and even my children with an intuitive mum have still got these conditionings that have been, as much as I've tried to allow them to be in tune with their body, they still, because life around us doesn't allow us to be in tune with our body. We can be conditioned into not listening to those sensations. So EFT, the way I teach and support EFT, I really teach you to feel the parts of your body. Like, why is it here? Why are you feeling a sensation of tightness? Why do you suddenly feel like your throat's closed up? Why is your womb space like tingling? Why is your spleen, like, so your spleen is like just under your left rib? Why are you feeling a sensation there? Why did your temples suddenly start twinging? These are all places where we have energy centers that we maybe aren't aware of, and they're giving us messages. Why do my hands warm up? Why am I feeling this sensation here in this part of my body? And when I teach EFT, these are things that I'm bringing into EFT, into my support of EFT, to support people to know, well, this is the emotion that connects into that area, or this is the emotion that helps to balance the other emotions that are being stored in that area that may not be flowing. Because our emotions are just energy. I don't call emotions negative and positive or good and bad, because they're just emotions. All emotions are energy in motion. They're giving us messages and they're giving us signs. And even those emotions that we maybe don't want to feel a lot of, like fear or anxiety, they've got a message for us, and they're there for a reason, and they teach us something, and they support our whole well-being to live and to exist and eventually to thrive. But we get so rooted, and a lot of our culture and a lot of media and a lot of the news and a lot of stuff out there in the world ties us into these lower frequency emotions that trap us into repeating stories that don't allow us to thrive and don't allow us to move forward. So when we process our emotions through a technique or through a healing modality or a tool like EFT, we're supporting our whole well-being to release things and move things and get that energy moving so that we can get more clarity. We can use our wisdom to find answers and solutions and have a more optimistic and joyful and balanced, harmonious way of being. So when we tap, we're tapping the emotions. We start with exploring the thing that we're tapping for. So some of those examples that I've used, like you'll come to me to discuss a food issue, to discuss diet and wellness. My whole perspective on food and diet is very different to even a lot of other holistic therapists, because I think that when you sort your emotions out, when you support your spiritual well-being, the way that you eat changes. I'm an advocate of intuitive eating. I'm an advocate of listening to your body before you ingest anything, and listening to your body when you're eating and going like, how does this make me feel? And why does it make me feel like this? Is this make me feel this way because stories and other people have told me to feel this way? Or does it make me feel this way because some part of my body's saying, nah, shouldn't be eating this. This is not healthful for your well-being. And there's times of the year or times of the month where something might actually benefit your body, and other times it doesn't. And so you come to me, food, diet, and I'll talk to you about, like, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Go really deep into how you're feeling. And then when we've grounded in through meditation, we'll talk about, like, where in your body do you feel things? And it can be surprising, because where you may expect to feel it, food, diet issues, you may expect to feel in your gut, in your stomach, or in your body somewhere, and then you've got like tingles in your temples, or you suddenly like feel something here in the back of your neck, and like, what's that about? Like, why? And it's like, I can intuitively guide you through why those parts of your body are the ones that have got a message and what that message is, and we go through it, and then we tap it through, and then we begin to see where the patterns have come from, and we might be able to get down to like which side of the family it came from, or who else in your life it's come from, or is it from other things that you've got going on in your life. And we move and shift things that way, and that is why being specific is really beneficial, and then using it regularly, because it's like being prescribed without wanting to, you know, go down a pharmaceutical route too much. It's like being prescribed antibiotics for a chronic bacterial infection, and then, like, you know, most of us have probably done it. You know, you take a few tablets for something, and then you stop because you feel better, but then you've not actually got to the root cause of the problem. So when we do an EFT, it's like I wholly encourage regular, consistent use, even when you think the thing has been dealt with, to just keep coming back to, like, I'm going to keep tapping on this just to make sure that it's shifted and moved, because we've got a lot of conditioning, and because the world is still geared to conditioning us, that we're not quite in a perfect scenario yet where you can go out and live your life and not have somebody else's bad, sad stories impact you. We've got lots of chaos going on in the world. We've got lots of stories being put upon us, differing people's opinions on what this should be and what that should be and how this should look and how that should look, and that's just like constantly bombarding us. EFT can bring you back to center and bring you back to yourself and bring you back to the moment and help you explore what's right for you. So that's EFT. That's the beauty of EFT. It's why I love EFT, and I feel like I'm moving forward with how I use it to bring in my wisdom and my knowledge of the 22 energy centers that are more active now for us all, to tap into those emotions that are in those energy centers, to bring together like a quantum energy clearing process that I've created and been using for myself, and I've used it for some clients over the years, to bring that in so that people using EFT with me can tune into those 22 energy centers and the emotions connected to them, and bringing that in. And then when I do EFT, I'm opening the energy channels for the Reiki, for that life force energy to flow. When I do one-to-one or group EFT sessions, there's always Reiki energy. There's always an energy healing process going on as well for people if they're open to it. And that's a big, that in itself, actually, lots of people feel a great deal of relief. I've even had clients who I've made EFT videos for, and they've never actually done the EFT video, but they've felt the energy healing and had great relief just from whatever energy healing I did in the process of creating the video. And they're like, you know, I've not even done your video yet, and I feel like I don't need this situation, this thing, this whatever it is that I've created the EFT for is less of a problem for them. And then they'll, if it resurfaces, then they'll go to the EFT and they receive the benefits of that energy healing again and the benefits of the EFT again. And that's just like, that's magic. That is magic. And that is what I love doing. And that is a big part of what I'm here for. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I'd love to know your thoughts, your feelings, anything that you've taken away from this, and particularly hear what I'm keen to hear is what you'd like to see some EFT on. What do you feel you need help and support with? My group EFT sessions, which I do weekly on Zoom, and here in Sowerby Bridge on a Thursday, on Zoom on a Saturday, creating these EFT spaces. And the regular things that I do are anxiety, relationships, grief, money, and food and diet. They're what I do regularly, interspersed with other things and needs that come up for people through the group sessions, including things like overwhelm, procrastination, worthiness, self-worth, self-esteem. Good, these are all good things that EFT is really beneficial for. So yeah, come and attend a group session and feel that if you feel called to or would like to try it, because they're just £11, which is a great way to experience EFT. Then you can get access to all of my content on my website, which otherwise costs £55 to get access to, and or come and have a one-to-one session with me. All the links to book will be in the description below this video. And I'd love to hear what you'd like some EFT for, because I'm creating a whole new batch of EFT videos for 2025, as well as religious trauma videos for EFT, which you can also find on my channel if you're interested in support with that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.